As the host of Neutralize the Mama Trauma podcast, I am delighted to be able to bring you this podcast. My name is Wendy Lopez, and I would like to introduce myself to you. I specialize in helping people overcome their emotional blocks through different techniques, through emotional empowerment coaching and compassionate healing light facilitation. As a mom who has experienced narcissistic trauma, I help moms eradicate self-doubt in order to regain self-confidence to elevate their status both at home and at work. In our podcast, we discuss people's struggles, triumphs, and failures. We dive deeper into self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, and mindful, holistic tips. In every episode, I hope that you can take a golden nugget of advice and apply it to the journey of motherhood in order to raise your level of awareness. Welcome to Neutralize the Mama Trauma podcast, where you find healing and creative mental thought advice from experts on past pain, narcissistic experiences, and trauma. Today, we have a special guest, and her name is Jenna Hodge, and she's a motherhood coach. She helps moms with challenges they face in motherhood, such as finding time to get things done that they need to get done and want to get done, creating healthy habits and routines for themselves and their children, and more so that they can enjoy their life and motherhood again. So Jenna, I'm sure many moms can appreciate having somebody that can help them become a little more organized with motherhood, because I know with motherhood, we can lose ourselves. Mm-hmm. So this is a beautiful thing that you provide as a service. And this is why I have the podcast, to help moms be able to achieve different levels of growth after momhood. And I know momhood can be a little hairy. Mm-hmm. So would you like to share with us what struggle that you had becoming or being a mom? Because I know there's different stages for all of us. So whatever stage you were in your life, what were you going through?
Well, I got pregnant before all my peers. Like, I got married young, had kids young. So my first experience into motherhood was kind of alone in that sense. Like, I didn't have a motherhood community. Even though I thought I knew everything about babies and toddlers, I did not. Nothing's more humbling than becoming a mom, as far as what you think you know, how you have to sacrifice everything, your body, like all that. So I was kind of in for a big wake-up call. And everybody who was talking to me or giving me encouragement and advice, whatever, was like my mom's generation or older. And while that was nice, it wasn't very like actually practical. You know, I didn't really have like a village. I mean, like, I have family, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have peers going through that. So unfortunately, with the struggles I did have, which I'll talk about in a second, that was like all alone for me. I mean, I had a loving and supportive husband, but as far as like other moms, and friends, I didn't really have that. So my first birth was, he stayed in there forever, and I was miserable, and I wanted him out. And I didn't really know much going into it. I thought I wanted to try a natural birth, but I wasn't like 100% dead set against epidural. And you don't really know anything till you experience it. You don't know what your body's going to do and all that. So when they said, like, you want to get induced at 41 weeks, I said, yeah, like, I didn't know anything what that meant. I was like, get him out, you know? So I did that, and Pitocin basically did nothing for my body until they broke my water. And by the time they broke my water, then they had upped the Pitocin so much that the combination of those two was like an immense amount of pain all of a sudden, to where I didn't feel like I could do it, and opted for the epidural. And I'm like a lightweight when it comes to medication and things like that. So any side ever really affect me. And from that point forward, I did not feel like myself. I don't know what else happened really after that. I felt very like drugged up. I didn't feel coherent. I had to have oxygen multiple times while pushing because I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like, I felt like I was working against my body. I could feel some things, but not some things. It was very, very frustrating. And I since you have the epidural, you typically have to have a catheter and whatnot. Well, when they put that in, that was very painful. And I told them that. And the nurse kind of dismissed me, like, give it time, it'll go away. And I'm like, it burns. Like it really hurt. And then kind of time went on and like there's people in and out, and I just felt like I wasn't really heard. And then I started to feel more like weird and out of it. The epidural gave me like terrible shakes. I just didn't feel in control of my body. And pushed for like 45 minutes. Didn't feel like I couldn't really feel what I needed to feel, but was feeling stuff I didn't want to feel, obviously, with half your body kind of numb, but not fully numb. So I did, like I said, I felt like I was working against myself and it was very frustrating. And then he came out and he didn't cry right away and he was kind of blue and I could tell I was coherent enough to tell something was off, but nobody said anything. Thankfully he was fine. But he had been in the birth canal for so long, like he was like stuck. And then come to find out later, I had a very big 3rd-degree tear. So I was stitched up for I don't know how long, laying there forever, like being stitched. And that sucked. But fast forward a little bit, I was extremely swollen because of that. Had all those stitches. I was in a lot of pain, and then took him home. And I think it was like a day or two later, I spiked a very high fever. I was laying on the floor of my bathroom, like shaking. Knew something was not right. So I went to the ER, found out from that catheter, I was on my way to getting a kidney infection. But after tearing and all that, I couldn't tell what was what, everything was hurting.
Right. So much going on with the body.
First baby, I didn't know like your body, physical trauma. And then mentally and emotionally, you're trying to process your body looks like something you've never seen before. It feels like something you never felt before. There's all this blood. You've never seen so much blood in your life. Like it's like, whoa. And so that sucked. That pain was probably worse than like the childbirth itself. Honestly, it was rough. And then, like I said, I was already swollen and had a ton of stitches down there just a couple of days after birth. And then like all that. So it was kind of rough start into my first time being a mom. And then breastfeeding was extremely painful. I didn't have anybody teaching me this stuff. That I should have my son a consistent eating schedule. So I would let him go for a while, not wake him up during the day. And then my boobs would hurt so bad. And then like every time he would latch at night, like I'd start crying because the pain was just instantaneous. Sleeping, I wasn't sleeping. So the severe sleep deprivation got worse and worse as each month went on. Till like he was like 3 or 4 months when I got to a deep point where like I physically and emotionally, like I can't do this anymore. I'm so sleep deprived. My body went through so much so fast. It's still kind of healing, but I don't feel like I can really rest because I'm trying to get the child to sleep and eat. He was losing weight. Like it was a very frustrating spot for me to be in. And I knew that at this point I have to do something or drastic or like for things to change because I can't keep going on like this. So come to find out he had reflux. So we got that taken care of. That helped a lot with his sleep. Every time we would lay him down, he'd scream bloody murder, like arch his back. And at the time, I know that what this means now, but a first time mom, I didn't know, what all that meant. And then when you're delusional in the middle of the night, trying to get some sleep, and then you're like, just go to sleep. And I felt like I missed out on those first few months of me being a first time mom. He's my firstborn. I didn't really get to like bond and appreciate and love on him and like soak up all those moments, which sucks. And that's why I like help moms, because I don't want them to have to go through what I went through, especially as a first time mom. Coming from someone who's not that far out from it. My oldest is 5. So like I'm still in the early years of motherhood. But I've also been at a very low point. I had the postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. I could not leave him with anybody. Like I was so attached, not attached, if that made sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very hard. So, but on the light at the end of the tunnel, because of all that, like I said, I got to a point where I was like, enough is enough. I have pounding headaches. I've got this rage because I'm not sleeping. Like I'm snapping at people. I don't like life, like I didn't like my body and I was still hurting and like just frustrated. I was only 23. I was frustrated like where I was at. And like I said, my friends were nowhere near this stage yet. So like I
Mhm.
felt very alone in that. And I decided to really study infant sleep a lot. I was like,
Mm.
I need to sleep. He needs to sleep. Like he needs to grow and thrive. And so do I. I stopped. Once I got him on like consistent sleeping schedule, I stopped breastfeeding. I felt so much better. And he was sleeping consistently. So I was. And then shortly after that, I got pregnant again. Once
Oh, wow. Okay.
months when I got pregnant with my second one.
Oh my goodness. So that was such a traumatic time with your body and the birth itself, and then the post, right? Of you're having almost like a kidney infection, and oh my gosh, that's like a lot to consume for a
Mhm.
first time mother. And then being sleep deprived and seeing the baby not being able to absorb his food, that he was starting to decline in his weight. So that is so much, and I'm so glad that you decided to form something of yours due to your
Mhm.
experience, because I had that experience as well with my firstborn. It was very traumatic, and
Mhm.
nobody, like you said, I believe, well, I was 25 at the time,
Mhm.
and there's nobody, like, sort of like an unspoken journey of this
Mhm.
trauma, right? And therefore, you also experience postpartum depression. I
Yep.
experienced it as well. And I'd like to touch on, because I just had a conversation with someone last week, and it was about um, the lack of understanding of what it feels like when you're having postpartum depression, because some is very severe
Mhm.
where people want to hurt the child.
Mhm.
Mine wasn't to that extreme, but I had these unhealthy thoughts and feelings of myself. And you said something that really touched me, where um, you could not leave the baby alone, even though you were uh, attached and wanting to unattach, because we need our mom time to our
Mhm.
sanity, right?
Mhm.
Can you explain how that felt for you? Because there's some people that don't really get that, but I want to emphasize that because it is a real thing where moms have this lioness, even though she's sleep deprived, she's going through like trauma response from her body healing. It's not even
Mhm.
healed yet, and the
Mhm.
unknown, right? And then for some people to come and either want to hold the baby or be part of the baby, but there's this like innate thing going on. Can you explain that on your part, like what you felt about not wanting to give someone else the baby?
Yeah. Well, I struggled with anxiety pre-pregnancy, like pre-kids. Um,
Mhm.
but I feel like this is different. It's similar and different. Anxiety is different than stress. It's not situation specific. Stress comes and goes, but anxiety is kind of a mentality. It is comes from wanting control. And if you feel like you are losing control or you don't have
Mhm.
control on something, then people who really struggle with that or may or may not have that like chemical imbalance in their brain can't
Mhm.
deal with those things happening, can't deal with not having control of something or releasing control or
Mhm.
things not going the way they expect, um, because that comes from a lack of control. Well, like I thought it was going to be this way, so I had this like this in my hands, and then it went this way, and then it's like then they fall apart, freak out, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but when it comes to being a mom and the postpartum anxiety and anxiety as a mom with your kids, and I've gotten a lot better now.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I'm more of a control freak in the sense of mama bear and protection, but not in the
Mhm.
sense get scared or fearful, if that makes sense. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm more like confident now. So now if it's a control freak, it's a like because I'm confident in who I am as a mom and what I want to do. and how I want to raise my kids and take care of them. And if I feel like your values don't align with that and I don't trust that you're going to follow that, then I won't let you have control, if that makes sense.
Right.
That's
So that's like more the mama bear. So, but I did like what you said, and I want to reiterate it to the
Mhm.
audience so moms can understand where if you are going through, and we're not doctors or anything, this is just total mom experience. This is like our intuition, our gut, plus the work that we do. But if you are a mom and you're noticing after you just have the baby, because it can go for however long, because you said something that I want to stress the point on, that anxiety comes from control. And there is it is research, and it is documented that we do, after having the baby, go through imbalances in our body, right? Because of all the stuff that we produce to deliver the baby. So there's this, it's almost like an unwiring, right? So
yeah.
so imagine there's this unwiring happening that you have no control over the body. And now you have a little baby that you know that you need to fend for, but there's so much chaos that that has happened between delivering the baby being out of the canal, that then you had to see that he was in the canal for so long. That's another little part of trauma. Yeah, and then the post of your body, and then the post of the lack of sleep, and the baby not, eating correctly, and his cries, like you said. So that is a lot, and I don't think people really understand, and more so husbands, men don't understand what is happening to the wife. That if she's having to, because I share my personal experience on that. Like my son was just like about 2 to 3 weeks old. And, prior to the baby, we had this, fantabulous idea of, let's have a family portrait. Lo and behold, just like you, I had certain stuff happening that when everybody came for the portrait, and I saw, and it can be something so simple that can trigger the mom. I just saw like the aunts holding my son, and I had him sleeping, and it triggered this huge anxiety freak out moment that I actually sent everybody home, and we didn't do the photo shoot. And so it goes to what you just shared, that there is an imbalance in your body through chemical, and this anxiety that you want to control, but yet you want your own time, but you can't.
Right.
You can't, right? So that is a beautiful breakthrough for moms to understand, that if you understand what's happening through the chemical response of your body, and that anxiety is just about control, pulling back a little bit and breathing, maybe some meditation, maybe some calming, right? So calming the nervous system. So yeah, that is an amazing story to have, but then how to help moms be able, because like you said, then you had your second one. So can you tell us how your second one went?
A lot better. 10
Yeah, right.
times better. You would think that with how rough I had it the first go around, and that I had 2 under 2, that it was such a fast, like, oh, we're back to here again, that it would be terrible or I'd freak out. It was a shock at first. Like, oh crap. Right? Because all 3 of my sizes, we have not planned a single child. So that's just apparently how my body does it. I'm super fertile, and I'm guessing when I ovulate wrong every time. I don't know.
Right.
But I was very healthy during that pregnancy. I ran up until 29 weeks. I ran a 10K down here. That's popular in Atlanta on July 4th. And then I stopped after that. And I ran that race, quote unquote. That was more like running, walking. And then I walked after that. Up until then, I did not want another baby to stay in there past the due date. Like I was tired of that. He did, because apparently, like I said, my ovulation's off and my baby's not like to stay in there longer. I'm just ovulating later than I think. So I don't want people to think like, oh, 40 weeks means boom. Like everybody's different. The guideline is a 2-week before and after.
Right. And after, that's true.
So after my experience with the epidural, I said, no more. I'm not doing that ever again. And it was an actual epidural that caused it, but there's so many things that, yeah, I just took a way more holistic approach, and it motivated me all the more to do it without medication. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. So I succeeded in that. He was 9 pounds, came out looking kind of like he was a 3-month-old. I'm only 5'5", and I'm not very big. So, my first one was 8 pounds, but yeah, he was 9. And, so he's a big baby, and I delivered him naturally. And it was all I did was have them induce me, quote unquote, like for the people who can't see me. I just had them break my water, and I said, please no Pitocin. Can you just break my water? Because I know things didn't really move from my body until they did that with my second one, with my first one. And they said, if we do that, like, and things don't progress, you're going to have Pitocin. It's fine. I don't care. Trust me. Like, I know my body. Just listen. All right. So they did that, and he was born 4 hours later.
Wow, that's so amazing. Oh my gosh.
They broke my water. It was 6 hours. So I got there for my first induction. It was at like 7 a.m. and he was born at 6 p.m. and they broke my water around noon. So then for this one, it was from 7 a.m. ish, and he was born at 11 a.m.
So can you tell me, with your experience, you said induction and Pitocin, because you said no Pitocin. So with induction, there isn't Pitocin?
Inducing means like you're kind of forcing labor to happen, basically. So like, I said I didn't want Pitocin again because it's false labor. Like it's putting, I think it's, I could get this, but I think it's like basically fake oxytocin or whatever. I don't know. It's not letting your body naturally like progress the way it's supposed to be. It's like a synthetic thing. And the more as time goes on now, I'm super more holistic type of approach on things. But I was at the very early stages of that with my second born. And I knew, like I said, once they broke my water, that's when my real contractions started happening.
So you knew that.
Yeah, he was 40 weeks and 5 days is what I opted for it with my second one. So like still past so I didn't ask for this. Like, obviously they're not going to do this before 39. They will not induce you before 39 weeks with a voluntary induction unless like you medically need it. So like I can't ask for them to induce me before I'm 39 weeks. Like just
okay.
Yeah. So since I waited, I tried to like wait it out. I was like, I want them to come naturally because the first one didn't, and I waited a whole week after, and I was miserable, waiting, and then I was like, no, let's just do it this way. This way, like I can guarantee you he's not going to be super late because I was just done. I mean, who isn't at the end? But I also knew that this would probably go a lot better, and I was right. So
right, because I feel like we do trust the doctors. And in your case, very unique. You understood your body, and sometimes we don't understand our body. I know with my 3 kids, my 3 boys, they were all, the doctor was just like quick to say Pitocin.
Yeah, they usually
so I never really had, like you said, to allow my body do its thing.
But you have moms, they have the like you're paying them, you know what I mean? So like you get what goes on, unless like your life is on the line or your baby's life is on the line. Like you can deny or ask for whatever, you know?
Okay, yes. So that's what I feel, another part of control that moms need to know, that they can suggest what they want, right? Because in my case, for all 3, it was straight Pitocin. And it was and it was pretty harsh on my body.
They're rough. I don't like Pitocin contractions.
Yeah. So
Pain
So
for
with
no.
your experience, the first one was with Pitocin?
Mhm.
Okay, and then the second one, can you tell us like the difference in the pain in contraction or the intensity?
Yeah. Pitocin, I didn't really start to feel, they kept upping it because all morning I wasn't really feeling anything. And then by the time they broke my water, it was already up really high. So I think the combination of the two really like sent my body overboard all of a sudden. Like it kind of, I didn't really
Uh-huh.
gradually get there. Whereas like when your body naturally goes into labor, typically you kind of, the contractions build and build and build. Whereas this was kind of like boom and then boom. Like I didn't really have, there's supposed to be waves. I didn't really get that break in between when I had the Pitocin.
Oh.
I guess I don't know how high they did the Pitocin, but pretty high. So then when they broke my water with my second one, it builds and builds and builds, but it's I pretty much knew as I give it like, yeah, this is the funny part. So for my first birth, after she broke my water, she was like, I'll be back in like a couple hours or something. I don't know. And it was within 10-ish minutes. I have a rough memory, but 10-ish minutes is when the contraction started after she broke it. I mean, it was like pretty quick. And then she didn't expect things to move.
That
They just
quick. Mhm.
fast. I wouldn't say 6 hours is very fast. I don't know. But like I said, they kept getting shorter and shorter. So my second, it was 4 hours from the time they broke my water to when he was born. And then fast forward, my third was 3 hours. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so the second and third, all you did was ask them, break my water.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that after breaking your water, your body was gonna do its thing.
Yeah. Because like I said, I already knew at the point of my pregnancy, I knew how my body was feeling. I wasn't trying to do it. One, like I said, they won't let you do it too early anyways. And two, I knew my body was ready. It just needed a little extra push. Like, yeah, I could have waited. I should have waited it out to see when my babies would come naturally, but I chose
Mm.
the choice I made. I'm kind of glad with my second, since he was 9 pounds, that I didn't wait any longer.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, but that's fantastic, because that is the awareness that, moms need,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so what do you, can you tell us, like, what do you do now? Like, what programs do you have? How can people work with you? And what do you do with or like, what do you do with the moms to help them?
Mm-hmm.
Is it pre, pregnancy? Is it post? What is it?
It's really kind of anything that they need. That's why I do one-on-one coaching to meet the mom where
Mhm,
she, because everyone's family dynamic is different. Everyone's situations and wants and needs and schedules and everything is different. So it's very individualized, and each pregnancy and birth and child is different too. So like you've heard two of my experiences already, vastly
mhm,
different. So like that's why I like to do it one-on-one. And I mostly help with like the mom and the child, whichever they need, whether it's just one or both. So when it comes to the mom, whatever she needs as far as postpartum goes, um, managing life with one child, multiple children, just life in general. Does she work, not work? What does she need to get done? And what does she want to get done? Prioritizing
mhm,
herself, taking care of herself first, because it is so important not to quote unquote let yourself go in the sense of your health and well-being. Um,
mhm,
Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. It is so important. If mom's not well, your family's I'm not necessarily gonna fall apart, but
mhm,
um, your kids feed off of you. Your kids watch you. You're modeling for your children. So it starts with you. Whatever you expect them to do, you need to be doing as well. Like
mhm,
if you expect them to rest when they're sick, then you need to do that. You need to model that for them. If you expect them to eat healthy, then you need to eat healthy.
mhm,
So I help
mhm,
moms with like if they're wanting to improve their health. I'm very passionate about health and wellness,
mhm,
fitness, that. Um, their mental health. Like I said, I have
mhm,
experience with postpartum depression, anxiety, mindset shifts.
mhm,
Then just practical things, productivity tips, all about scheduling and um,
mhm,
working things in without sacrificing the things that have to
mhm,
get, but also not without sacrificing things you want to get done, because they're both important.
mhm,
You're a human as well as a mom, so live life. Don't just exist. Like enjoy.
mhm,
And then I also help with babies and toddlers because that's what I know. I had 3
mhm,
babies 4 years,
mhm,
so back to back to back. And like I said earlier, I studied a lot with infant sleep and everything. So now my boys are in a very consistent sleep schedule. And I believe sleep affects so many things, especially when they're little. And if they're not sleeping well, then you're not sleeping well. So that goes back into mom stuff. But just with sleep, feeding, potty training, picky eaters, routines and systems for your children, love languages, how to give them what they need so that they're not acting out all the time. It's not acting out, but they're really telling you something. They just can't figure out how. It's really working with moms with their babies and their toddlers and their little kids and just how to navigate emotions and caring for well-being as well. So.
Right. Okay. Can you tell us, I was going to touch earlier, but you mentioned it again, infant sleep. What is it that you learned for you and that you help moms with that? Because I know we talked about sleep deprivation, and that's a real thing.
Yes.
And then from sleep deprivation, you get that motherhood rage.
And I know this is I don't know why it's controversial. Like, you do you. And if this is something you want, then obviously you would want to work with me. And if not, that's fine. But I believe that, especially little kids, but everybody needs a certain amount of sleep and at a certain time of day for our circadian rhythm. And since kids are still growing, they need that full restful sleep at night for their brain to develop, and therefore for them to meet milestones and to be healthy, their digestive system to rest during the night. They don't, unless they're newborns, they don't need to be eating several hours every night throughout the night. Like their body has to take a rest, as do ours. We don't need to be eating at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. That's not good for our, what's the word I'm looking for?
Our digestive?
Yeah. There's another word I forgot.
Oh, okay.
So helping them with getting, like I said, being on a consistent schedule, because if one thing is off, it can affect kind of everything. And that's the thing that sucks about little kids. But once you get that, once you figure out what they actually need, then you can give them what they need. And then you won't be wondering, why are they acting this way? It's because their nap went kaput. Then much more easier to not be mad at them. Not on purpose, but we tend to sometimes resent our kids for things that we technically can control. We may not realize we can't, so helping the mom figure out okay, they're acting this way because of this. This is what they need. Our job as parents and as moms is to take care of our children. So we need to give them what, and sleep is a big one. And it needs to be at certain times of the day, and just to really get them on a good circadian rhythm, because that's how our bodies thrive. And it does matter. A certain amount of sleep during the day will affect how much they get at night, and vice versa. Everything's connected. And then their diet, then what they eat and how much they eat affects their sleep. And knowing how everything just works together, and once you get a good system and routine, then when any little thing, they get sick or something happens in your family, it won't stress you out that much, because you've already got a good foundation, if that makes sense. Because something else up, it's going to make things way worse than if you already have a good day to day is fine. Then if one little thing goes wrong or something comes up, you're not as likely to freak out, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then you said something about it being controversial, and then obviously moms do you, right? You do what you feel is best. You don't have to do this route. What is controversial about it? How about the infant sleep?
Try it out. Some people don't like to co-sleep, or they do want to co-sleep, or some people think babies aren't supposed to sleep through the night till a certain age, and some people disagree. So it's just kind of, co-sleeping versus not, cry it out versus not.
Okay.
Waking up all night to feed at 10 months old. Yes, that's normal. No, it's not normal. Things like that. And that's two sides of the coin.
Got you. Okay. And then what approach did you take?
If you want to label it this, yes, I do cry it out. I believe they're crying because they are used to something and their environment has changed. So like anybody, we would probably freak out when things change. We just may not cry about it. That's their only way of communication. It's something new. They're not used to it. So that's a part of being a parent and guiding them into new situations. Like knowing that they're safe and they're loved can help you like go through that, because then it won't be as traumatic, I guess, to hear your baby cry, which that's the only way they can communicate anyways. So it shouldn't be shocking to you that like you leave them alone in a dark room, they're crying. Well, they just haven't figured out like, oh, I'm okay. Like they'll calm down. Nothing's physically wrong, which with my first child with the reflux there was, and I didn't know that. But once I got that taken care of, he was fine. I mean, yes, he had to go through that adjustment period of not having me, I don't know, feed him to sleep or rock him to sleep or give him and people call them sleep crutches. But it's just like anything. We all have things that we like. And when that gets taken from us, we're like, wait, but I'm used to having this. Not necessarily for sleep, but we all have little crutches or whatever you call it, little things that we like to be able to do something. When we take that away, like some people just don't handle that well. Well, babies know nothing different, obviously. So guiding them, not like you leave them for 2 hours straight screaming their head off. There's gentle ways to do it, and you just go slow. But the faster you rip off the Band-Aid, the quicker it happens. So it just depends. Like I meet moms how they want to approach it. Like,
right, how they want to approach it. Right.
If some are like, let my husband do it, I'm too emotional about it, I can't do it, because some husbands will. Like mine, it doesn't affect him as much to hear his baby's cry as it does the mom, so like he could handle it more sometimes. And then I kind of got to a point where I was backwards and I was like, I don't care, I'm done. Like I had to take care of myself. If you're not in a good place and you need your rest, it's okay to leave your baby for a minute crying if they're physically fine. Because they're safe, they're in a crib. Like nothing's going to happen to them if they're not sick or anything like that. If they've eaten enough that they're supposed to during the day, then they're okay. They'll figure it out. And they do. Like all of mine sleep great. But I didn't leave this.
Right. And I can see like, because of my 3 boys, I can see, where there's freak out moments for the mom thinking that they're doing something bad. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I've also had, like my first marriage, my husband, at that time, he would wake up to help me with the baby. My second husband, not so much. And that was very brutal, not having that help. And, and like you said, and I want to share this because like you said, as long as they're fine and you need your time, it's okay to let it cry them if they cry out. So you can just gather yourself.
Yes.
Right. And so it was difficult for me because my second husband could not stand the cry of a child, of a baby. And so that would mean I would have to be forced to go every time, and there was no downtime. So I just want to express that there is a fine line with that for the mom, because now you're tiptoeing on the mental sanity of the mom. So there needs to be a little more understanding or communication. Speak to your husband about it, or have your husband hire some midnight help. Something of that nature, right? Where maybe you can monitor, you're seeing that person help you. I have heard of this before, but it never really came to the forefront because I was like, who would do that? I understand now. Right. And so I'm just saying, and like you said, you do you. We're just saying these are options. And, Jenna has gone through it and I've gone through it, but Jenna's focus is on helping moms with their motherhood and how to navigate it. And, they can work with you one-on-one. I work with moms, but mine is more on, narcissistic abuse and trauma and, getting them over that. But this is crucial for, like you said, the foundation, right, for you and your baby. And sleep is a necessity for your infant and for yourself.
Yes.
And so this is why I have this podcast, to bring this type of awareness. So there is different ways of approaching it. There's different opinions. And guess what, moms? You are entitled to your feelings. You are
Yeah.
entitled to what feels right to you, especially because we understand this whole chemical imbalance. We're just saying we can help you navigate in different forms in different ways. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that, someone was able to grab a nugget or two from what we've talked about today. But before we close, Jenna, is there anything, a tip or something you want to share with moms, what you think might benefit them that they can take and put into action, or something that they can put in their daily plan when they're having or getting ready to have a baby, whatever comes through for you? Can you share something before we go?
Yeah. And mine's been more a recent thing that I've done with where I'm at with my little boys is accepting the season that you're in and recognizing one, it's a season. Um, most things in life are not permanent. I mean, even some disabilities may not even truly be permanent or things like that. Not all, but
Mhm.
most things in life are not going to be permanent for the rest of your life. So accepting the season that you're in, but not in a complacency mindset, not in what society tells you that, oh, your mom now, so blank. Oh, your mom, so your body will never look the same, blank. Oh, your mom, so you'll never have time for yourself
Mhm.
again. Or, oh, your mom now, this is what it is, accept it. And yes, accept the season of where you're at and don't let it control you. Don't let it like bring you
Mhm.
down, limit you. Like I said, in that state of complacency of, well, this is what it is kind of mindset. But say, okay, here's the facts. Like I'll give myself an example. Here's the facts. I had 3 boys, 5 and under. That should tell you enough right there.
Mhm.
They're busy. They're loud. I'm busy. I also have my own business. Um, it's crazy. My house is not going to look perfect all the time. It's not pointless to clean up because it's not like I never clean up, but it's also kind of pointless to try to clean up after my 18-month-old with the stage of that he's in. I mean, he's constantly getting
Mhm.
things, and
Right.
that's that stage of toddlerhood. My 4 and 5 year old are not as bad as that now, Um, but I just have to recognize that's the season I'm in. So I can't expect it to look like a mom who has teenagers who can take care of themselves, who are in school most of the time, who can drive themselves, maybe, like she has all this time on her hands when her kids go to school. I don't. My 18-month-old's
Mhm.
with me. So even when my other two are at school, it's not like I have all day. My older two don't nap. So when he naps, I still have a child with me. So I don't get that like break. So
Mhm.
I compare myself to that mom or the mom that has a nanny. I don't have a nanny or whatever.
Mhm.
But I just have to accept, okay, here's the life I'm at right now. Like I said, now it's not forever. Um, and in that, what I've got going on, what can I control?
Mm.
All right, so here's what I got. What can I work with?
Mhm.
Like, how can I make this happen? Working out is not only a priority for me for my physical health, but it's my mental health too. I love it. It's my me time. I try
Mhm.
to do it solo because I enjoy it that much. Yes, I can work out with my little ones. It's not as enjoyable, and I do it when I have to because that's just how my day looks that day. But it's not I have 3 little boys. I'm just never going to work out again, and so I give it up. You know, um,
Yes.
find the
Yes.
ways to do things without sacrificing all your sleep, without sacrificing all your money or all your time or all your sanity. There is ways to get things done. It's just not. I don't want this to sound bad. Not necessarily lowering your expectations in like a negative way, but like I said, accepting your reality and then finding what can you control where you're at. And that'll
Right. And I love
less down about where you're at, and it'll help you be more content, but not complacent. Yeah.
right, exactly. And I love what you said. Accept the season where you're at, and don't let it control you, because I believe moms, we can become like that, that Wonder Woman, super mom,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to have everything fine because there is like society expectations of how it should be. But knowing that whatever season that you're in, and like you said, ask what you can do to control it. So if we go down that route, that'll lessen the anxiety and the
Mm-hmm.
overwhelm of a
Mm-hmm.
mother, right? If we're
Mm-hmm.
having that perspective versus expectation.
Yes.
Huge difference.
Yes.
Huge difference. Because what we're actually doing, even someone listening to this, is having a moment to breathe and have some relief just in the shift in your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And I,
Yeah, beautiful.
as my kids do sleep. So that it kind of
Yes.
all, like if we co-slept or they weren't sleeping through the night, things like that, like I wouldn't have that time after they go to bed to myself.
Yeah. And like
Now
you said, that me time. Yes.
that distant time that I can count on. I know they go to bed at this time. So after that, I'm good till I choose to go to bed. And I know they wake up at this time. So I know I can do anything before that. There's not a like, well, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Like the more the facts are like concrete, the easier it is to work around it, if that makes sense.
Right. And there's more control. Right.
They each individually need, the more consistent a schedule and routine is for your family, the easier it is to fit the things in you want to fit in.
Very true. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll be posting your links. I know Facebook and Instagram, they can find you under Purpose Intended. And we will post how they can reach you and how they can get in contact with you. But I appreciate your presence. I appreciate your time. And I really do hope and desire that someone listening, a mom listening, that she gets some relief or a knowing of a new truth for her of how to see motherhood, that we can change our perspective, shift our mindset to gain more confidence and control within what we can versus overwhelm of reaching far out where we don't have any control. So there's many, many, many things that we can do here with moms. So I appreciate you, Jenna. Thank you so much. And I wish you the best, and we'll keep in touch. I totally did enjoy what you bring in helping new moms. And like you said, babies and toddlers, that very well. And the infancy sleep, that's like huge too. So moms can use your guidance and direction on those hot topics to have, for safe sanity. I'm big on that. So thank you so much. And till the next time.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Neutralize the Mama Trauma podcast. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any new episodes. It would also mean the world to me if you're able to take a moment and rate and review my podcast on how it was helpful to you. Also, please connect with me on my social media platforms. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next episode.